You guys will be able to factor trinomials when a does not equal 1. We don't know what that means yet, but we will. And we're going to start 7.3 today. We're going to finish that up on Wednesday when we wear pink. Tobin.
But there's nothing on the board.
You're right. It hasn't been written yet. The future doesn't exist. Thank you, Miss Haswell.
Look at my shirt.
You are the future. Ooh.
Yeah.
So let's just write Tobin on those.
Tobin, what is the future?
Only been a part of it today? You're going
Correct.
to have a job in the future.
Alrighty. So, trinomials. How many terms are in a trinomial? 3. Hence the tri. T-R-I. Tri. Okay. Now we have this thing called a quadratic. Okay. A quadratic is another type of equation. Remember how we were talking about linear equations like y equals mx plus b, and sometimes we had like ax plus by equals c. We had things like that. Well, we have a quadratic. A quadratic is just a fancy term for saying this function or this equation or this expression has a squared. It's an x squared. So have we been dealing with these for a while, really? Yeah. We're just giving it a name. So like Tucker gave me this weird look like, quadratic. It's actually not really new to us right now. We've been working with it. We'll do some more stuff with quadratics next, or a couple chapters from now, actually. But for now, nothing different. So the form is what? I'm not sure. So last year was the first year we had Algebra 1B, and that wasn't really a good show of how far we normally get in a year with COVID happening.
What do you think?
I'm not sure. I think we'll get either partway or all the way through Chapter 8 is my guess. So we're in Chapter 7 right now. So we're almost done with... this is our last section in the first half of Chapter 7. And then we'll be done with our first half of Chapter 7 this week. We'll spend a couple days reviewing when we get back from spring break and then take that test. So that way you guys aren't just like, test right after spring break. That'd be pretty hard. Yeah, Zion.
Forget it. I'll ask you later.
Okay, sounds good. Remember it. All right. Get it, forget it, remember. Okay, anyway. ax squared plus bx plus c. So we see those x's, right? That's going to be whatever variable we're talking about. So here, 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. And it says identify the a, the b, and the c. Were they replaced from this to this? Yeah. So we want to know what were they replaced by. So what is my a, what is my b, and what is my c? Who knows what my a would be? Hannah? Okay, it's just going to be that 3 actually, because here it's ax to the second. So it's whatever's in front of or with that x to the second. So 3 is what's in front of that. So what's my b going to be, Reagan? Negative 5. Good catch there to call that negative. Okay, we have to take this minus sign with it because the standard form has as a positive b. So that means b is actually a negative 5 to account for that. And then what would our c be here, Tucker? It'd be negative 2. Very good. Same idea. That's positive, but actually it's a negative here. It's a negative 2. So it's like somebody took this ax squared plus bx plus c and plugged these 3 in for a, b, and c respectively.
Is that answer?
For this problem where we were just asked to identify a, b, and c, did we identify them?
Yes.
Yep, we did what it wanted. Now we will be going farther, but for now, we did what it wanted.
Can I shake this house now? Yeah.
Jaw to jaw.
Ready for the test.
Okay.
I'm ready.
On number 2, I want you guys to practice identifying what A, B, and C are. Don't blurt.
Okay.
Who thinks they can tell me what A is? Mason. 1. There's a 1 secretly invisible there for that x squared. Olivia, what's B here? 2. Very good. And what's that make the C then, Tobin?
1.
1. Very good. Did we identify the A, B, and C here?
Yes.
Yes, we did. All right, do number 3, but don't blurt. The far right hand side. All right. Who thinks they know A? Okay, Tobin?
2.
2. Who thinks they know B? Hannah?
7.
Very good. 7. Would some of us have called that 5?
Yes.
What do we need to do, though?
Oh my god. Okay.
Do we need to rearrange it originally? Yeah, this is actually 2x squared plus 7x plus 5. So what's our C?
5.
5. Very good catch there, Hannah. To know that our B was 7. Did anyone else catch that? That our B was 7?
No. After that.
Okay, Emily, you did?
After the fact.
Okay, Zyron, you did? After the fact? Yeah, after the fact is a little easier. Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to utilize this identifying A, B, and C as we start what we're going to do next. So we're going to learn how to factor trinomials, 3 terms, okay? So the first thing we learned was to factor out just a GCF when there was only a greatest common factor involved. We said, hey, we can factor this out of 2 terms or 3 terms or however many. Then what we learned last time was how to factor when there's 4 terms. We said, hey, if there's 4 terms, we're going to put them in 2 groups of 2 and then pull out whatever's common. And then from there, we'll have another common factor. We can pull that one out. Well, now we're going to learn how to do it when 3 terms. What we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this 3-term polynomial, this trinomial, into a 4-term polynomial. Once it's a 4-term polynomial, we're going to do the same thing we were doing last time, where we group it and continue. So the new part today is going to be turning this 3-term polynomial into a 4-term polynomial. Then we're going to continue with what we were doing last section. That's going to be kind of weird, turning it from a 3-term to a 4-term, because we have to do it in a very specific way to get it to work out. I'll show you guys what I mean by that, though. So we're going to follow these steps here. Make sure our trinomial is in the ax squared plus bx plus c order. Did we just experience that when it's not in order? Yeah. Here on number 1, is this in order? Yeah. Okay, good. Then we're going to fill in our x. We don't know what an x is yet, okay? Well, let me show you. Before we do that, actually, as part of step 1, let me go back. As part of step 1, I'm going to have us identify A, B, and C as well. So here, what's A, what's B, and what's C on number 1? Tucker, what's A? 2. What's B? Hannah? -7. What's C? -15. Okay, so that's all going to be part of step 1 there. Make sure it's in order and identifying our A, B, and C. Now when it says fill in our x, the x is just a tool or a method that I teach to help us organize our thoughts and figure out how we're going to make 4 terms from 3 terms. So we're going to make a ginormous x there. By ginormous, I mean big enough that you can write a number in each part of this. So everybody kind of write down an x there. Olivia, you're probably going to want that space free so you can write other things in there, just so you know. So at the top of this x, we're going to put a times c. So go ahead and put a lowercase a times a lowercase c, but put it above so you can still write a number in this gap. And then we're going to put a b at the bottom, and once again put it below so you can still write a number in this gap. Now, at the top of this x, we're going to put whatever a times c is. So what's 2 times -15, our a times our c? -30. At the bottom, what are we going to put? -7, because that's our b. So we get those 2 numbers just based upon whatever our trinomial is, based upon whatever our a, b, and c is. We're always going to put a times c at the top, and we're always going to put b at the bottom. Now this becomes kind of a puzzle. Okay, who likes puzzles? Okay, maybe just me. Okay, Miss Haswell does. Okay, I love puzzles. Okay, and so this becomes a puzzle to where we need to figure out 2 numbers that multiply to the top multiply to negative 30, but add up to negative 7. So we need to figure out numbers that multiply to negative 30, but add up to negative 7. We're going to put those numbers on the left hand and the right hand side. Now let me ask this question. If it multiplies to a negative, what kind of numbers multiply to get a negative? Is it two positives multiply to get a negative? Is it two negatives multiply to get a negative? No, what do you have to do? Positive and a negative, okay? So we're going to so we already have that kind of narrowed down, so we have more information from our puzzle. So I'm going to do a negative on the left-hand side and the positive on the right-hand side. I always like to put the negative on the left. It just makes it a little bit easier is all. To put the negative on the left. And now, let's think here. If we're going to have a negative and a positive adding together, how do you really add a negative and a positive? What do you do when you add and the signs are different? You really subtract. So these two numbers are really going to have to subtract to get 7 because they're different signs. So what are some factors of 30? Let's roll through some factors of 30. We can write them off to the side if that helps. I can make some room over here on the left-hand side. What are some factors of 30? Numbers that multiply to get 30. 5 and what? 5 times what? 6. Okay. Now 5 and 6. Do 5 and 6, would those subtract to get 7? No. Okay. What are some other factors of 30? 10 and 3. Would those subtract to get 7? Yeah, they would. They're 7 apart. Now, where would I put the 10? The negative or the positive? Whoa, wait, Mason, you changed your mind. You said positive and then you said negative. Why did you change your mind? You don't know? Okay. He's right that it'd be negative. Emily, do you know why? It has to be a negative 10 plus 3 because what's negative 10 plus 3? Is that a negative 7? But if you flipped it around and the 3 was negative and the 10 was positive, would you get a negative 7? No, what do you get? A positive 7. So let's look at our puzzle real quick. Do negative 10 times 3, does that get negative 30? Okay. Negative 10 plus 3, is that negative 7? Yeah, we finished our puzzle. Okay, the puzzle's kind of the side project. Now we're going to use that to make 4 terms. Questions on what we've done so far with the puzzle before I continue? Alrighty. So to continue, the first term is going to stay the same. 2x squared stays as 2x squared. The last term also stays the same. Negative 15 stays as negative 15. What changes is the middle. Splits into 2. If we split the middle into 2, we're going to get 4 terms. Now I'm going to put a negative 10x plus 3x. Does anyone know why I put a negative 10x and a 3x there? Exactly right, Maddie. Those are the numbers I got from the sides of the x that we filled in. The sides of that little puzzle we filled in were negative 10 and 3. They don't know why I put an x there instead of like a y or no variable or an x squared. Tucker, what are you thinking?
Because 7 has an x.
Because that 7x, that split, had an x. Is that what you're going to say, Emily? And that's exactly right. Okay, I saw a hand up a moment ago. What was that hand up for? Who was that?
Is there an easier way to do this?
I don't think so. Some people think other methods are easier. This is the one that I honestly think is the easiest to teach and the easiest to learn. What?
We're going to do all this stuff in the homework?
Well, it probably gets easier if you do it more often.
The more often you do it, the more you're in a habit of it. Now, if we were to add up negative 10x plus 3x, would we get right what we have up here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good thing. That means we're on the right path. Now, is this 4 terms now? 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like what we had in our homework. So what did we do in our homework that was due today when we had 4 different terms?
Close it up.
We grouped them, right? Into our first 2 and our last 2. So we're going to do the same thing here. Group first two and last two. And what do we do after we group these? Yeah, see what the GCF is of the first one and of the second one. So the first one, 2x squared minus 10x. What's going to be our GCF there?
No, X. There's an X.
X. And do they have a number in common? A 2. It's going to be a 2x. And what's left inside the parenthesis here? X.
Or wait, no.
X to the first.
Minus 5.
Minus 5. Questions on how we got x minus 5 inside the parenthesis? Questions on this first part of it? What's my GCF of the second part? Olivia, you're going to make sure you're writing this down step for step, okay? 3. Very good. It's going to be a positive 3, so I'm going to put a positive 3 even. Now, what am I left with if I factor out a 3? X minus 5. Hey, is that the same thing each parenthesis?
Yes.
Woo, that's a good thing, okay? Now, what can I do with that x minus 5 that's the same?
Put that in first.
Put that out in front. Put that first. And then what am I putting in my next parenthesis? 2x plus 3. Did we create multiplication from this original addition and subtraction? Yes, we're done. Woo! Give yourself a slap on the back, guys. That's true. It's a lot. Tobin. Yes. Thank you for waiting, buddy.
the end of part 1?
Not yet. Almost. All right. I want to show you guys real quick. If I were to FOIL, you don't have to write this part down, okay? If I were to FOIL here, so we have our heads picked up, we're watching this. And I do x times 2x, I get 2x squared. I do x times 3, I get 3x. I get negative 5 times x, I get negative 10x. Negative 5 times 3, negative 15. Is that the same thing we had up here in the blue and yellow? Yeah. And if I combine this again, would I get back to the same place we started? Yeah. That means we did it correctly. That's awesome. You don't have to FOIL, but that means we did it correctly. Hannah.
I'm still confused how negative 10 and positive 3 really makes sense.
Great question. So we split this into... Oh, sorry. So is your question how we got the numbers here or why that works over here?
How we got the numbers.
All right, I'm happy I asked that because I was going to explain something different. So here, they multiply to the top. Do these numbers multiply to negative 30?
Yeah.
And then they add to the bottom. Negative 10 plus 3, but that gives us negative 7?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that make more sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's actually the same reason why it works over here. Now I want to show you guys kind of grins and giggles here for a moment. Yes. Okay, you sure? Okay, well if you want to ask, let me know, okay? I mean, if it's a question, I want to hear him, but what's up? What just happened?
Is 9 times negative 1?
Oh, this is like tripping up real quick. It's like thinking I'm tapping, but I'm not. Okay, Maddie, what was your question? Sorry. We'll get there in a moment. We'll get there. It is. Yep. Now, in my what I was wanting to show you guys before it spazzed out on me. Don't do anything I'm doing right now. I just want to show you. If I had made that x, and I had the negative 30 on the top and the negative 7 on the bottom, and let's say I tried to do negative 5 and positive 6, because negative 5 times 6, that gives us negative 30. Does it give us negative 7? No. Let's say I tried to do that, though. I still tried to, force it to work. Well, I put 2x squared, and I still have that plus 15, or excuse me, minus 15 at the end. And now my middle would be like a negative 5x plus 6x. Well, here's the thing. Would negative 5x plus 6x give us negative 7x again? No. So is it the same thing as what I started with? No, I did change it, okay? On the left one, when we did it correctly, we didn't actually change any of the values. We just made it look really different. We gave it a glow up, so to speak. Okay? When someone has a glow up, okay, you guys know what I'm talking about. When someone has a glow up, does it change who they are? No, they just look different. Okay. You what?
Tucker still looks the same.
Tucker hasn't hit his glow up.
I'm just playing Tucker.
No, I agree with you. I totally
All right. Any other questions we had on number 1? I know it was a lot. We're going to walk through number 2 together, though, okay? So number 2, is this in order?
No.
No. So what's our first step?
Put it in order.
Put it in order, okay? So let's put this in order. Let's do 9x squared what? 9x squared minus 20x
Plus 4.
plus 4.
We have
So
to do that?
yes. Otherwise, it will not work out. If you have the wrong A, B, and C, you're going to have the wrong sides of your X, and you're wrong everything. So what's my A, B, and C now? Okay. Okay, what are we confused about here? Let's back up a second then.
How do you know to change the...
Is it in standard form? So standard form is where we have everything alphabetically, which there's no worries here because they're all X's. And then we have everything in highest power to lowest power, descending. So do we have that in standard form before we start?
Yeah.
Well, no. That's why we change it. Does that make sense now?
But like, yeah, but they were changing.
Yeah.
That's why I put like...
Okay. Mason, put that away, please. Mason, did that make more sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Siren,
What?
what were we asking?
I didn't ask anything.
Okay. So our A is 9. What's our B?
Negative 20.
Negative 20. What's our C?
4.
4. So now, Maddie, are we gonna have to multiply nearly as big of a number as we thought we would? No. And so it actually worked out nicer, right? So here, as I make my X, I'm gonna do, once again, I want us to write this down here. I think it might be really good for us. Now we're gonna do A times C at the top and B at the bottom. Feel free to write that every single time. It might be good for us. So what is A times C? What's 9 times 4?
Negative 8.
36. And then what's going at the bottom?
You never heard Maddie say that.
Negative 20. Hannah, you were so confident. You were so ready for that, though.
I just heard Maddie
Negative
say
80.
it. I was like...
Yeah. What is 9 times 4? Negative 80! I got it! Oh. I love it.
Maddie's wrong. Trying to
I love the confidence. All right. Now, the sides. We want two numbers that multiply to 36 and add up to negative 20. Now, they're going to multiply to a positive. So do we want different signs anymore? A positive and a negative. Would that give us a positive? No. Do two positives give us a positive? What else gives us a positive, though? Two negatives. So it could be either. How do we know whether there's going to be two positives or two negatives multiplying to get a positive?
Two of the same sign.
Okay, we know it's going to be two of the same sign. How do we know which sign it is here, though? How do we know if we're using positive or negatives? Well, what do they have to add up to?
30.
A negative. Could two positives add up to a negative ever? No, but what could? Two negatives. So what are they going to be? Two negatives. So now we need... So if they're two negatives, are they actually going to add this time rather than subtract secretly like our last one did? Yeah. So see how we can kind of use just different clues for this puzzle to help us with our next step of the puzzle. So now we need two numbers that multiply to 36 but add up to 20. So let's think about factors of 36. So what numbers multiply to 36? It might be good just to write these down. 9 times 4. Is 9 times 4, that adds up to 13.
6.
6 times what? 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Okay. Not quite. What other factors of Yep, 6 plus 6 would be 12.
12 times 3.
What?
12 times 3.
12 times 3 is 36. And what's 12 plus 3? 15. So we're getting a little bit higher. We went from 12 to 15.
15 times...
2 times 15.
That'd be 30.
Okay, that'd be 17. Or so that'd be 30. 2 times what then? 18. That'd give us 36. What would the 2 plus 18 be? 20. Now here, since they're both negatives, does it really matter which one we put on the left or the right? No, it actually won't. So here's the thing. When you and your partner put them on different sides, Your answers might look a little different, but they're actually the same. I'll show you what I mean by look a little different. So now we fill out this puzzle. Any questions on the puzzle, why that happened, what we're doing there, anything like that? Okay, so now as we split this into 4 terms, what 2 stay the same? 9x squared stays the 9x squared. And what else stays the same?
-20.
Not -20. Plus 4, the end. 4 is the secret ending.
Or
Now what splits then?
-20x.
-20x. And what does -20x split into? -2x and -18x. And once again, it really doesn't matter which one's first and which one's second. If you switch and which one's first and which one's second, your next few steps are going to be different than your neighbors. Your final answer will be the same. Kind of neat. I'll show you in a minute. So once again, if you write them in a different order than your neighbor, your next few steps will look different. Your final answer will look the same. So now we have 4 terms. Is this the same thing we had last time? Yeah. Thank you. So we're going to group the first 2 and the last 2, taking that sign with the -18x. Tobin? Earth to Tobin.
Yeah.
Right down, buddy.
Oh.
Alrighty.
Down, I just needed to get the parentheses in.
Alrighty. So 9x squared minus 2x. What do they have in common?
4.
Don't skip it. Go back to it. They have an x in common. Very good. Do the 9 and the 2 have anything in common?
No.
No. So it's just the x. What do we have left if we take the x out?
9 minus
9x minus 2. We still have 1x in the first one. Maddie.
Okay, do we have to do this on our homework? Like the parentheses?
I don't have any kids. How would I be kidding you? What's going to be the GCF of -18x plus 4?
-x.
Negative, not x, but negative something. Do they both have x's?
Okay,
No.
no.
What do 18 and 4 have in common?
3, 4.
No. Does 4 go into 18?
I'm just
2. Does 2 go into both? There we go. So, what are we going to be left with after we take a negative 2 out of negative 18x?
It's going to be a 9x.
It's going to be a positive 9x. And what's 4 divided by negative 2? Minus 2, negative 2. Now, what do we notice about our parentheses again, guys? They're the same. Should they be? Yeah, they should be as long as we do it right. So what do I do with that 9x minus 2?
Put that out front.
Put that in front. And am I done?
Nope.
No? What else do I do?
Plug in the x minus 2.
Yeah. Put the x minus 2 in the second parenthesis. Now we created multiplication. Questions on that?
This hurts my brain. It really does.
That means it's stretching you.
I'm gonna fall.
Oh, please don't. Alrighty. I want to show you guys what would have happened. So don't flip pages yet. I want to show you guys what would have happened had we put the negative 18x before the negative 2x. So I'm going to show you guys here on the left-hand side. I'll put that back up there in a moment, though. So at that point, we had 9x squared, and then we'd have minus 18x minus 2x, and we'd have plus 4. So we'd still group the first 2 and the last 2, right? What would be our GCF of 9x squared minus 18x? It's a little bit different now.
2x.
Not 2x. What goes into 9 and 18? 9. 3 does, but 9 is even bigger. So we're going to pull out a 9x. And what are we left with? X minus
No.
2. Now, what's negative 2x plus 4? What are they going to have in common?
2.
What kind of 2?
Negative.
A negative 2. And what's left in the parentheses?
X plus 2.
X minus 2, because we took out a negative. Tricky. Now, inside the parentheses, are these still the same?
Yeah.
So we pull that out in front. And our other parenthesis,
They're the same.
9x minus 2. So what's the only thing that's different?
They're back.
They're flip-flop. That's it. Now, our GCFs we pulled out, that changed, right? Because we pulled out a 9x rather than an x. We pulled out a -2, but we still pulled out a -2. So what we pulled out was different, and in the middle the steps were different. Our ending was the same, just flipped. So is it okay if you and your neighbor put them down differently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not a wrong way to do it. Hey, it's back. Do you feel confident that you could do the homework right now?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's in my notes.
All right. Number 3, is this 3 terms?
Yes.
Yes. Is it in order?
Yes.
Yes. What do we do first?
A, B, C.
A, B, and C. What is our A?
12.
What is our B?
5.
5.
What is our C?
-2.
-2. Now what do we do?
X.
Make the X. What am I going to put at the top of the X?
A times C.
A times C.
C.
What am I putting at the bottom?
B.
B. What is A times C?
-24.
-24, haha. What is B?
5.
5. So we're going to multiply to a negative. How do I get a negative by multiplying? What kind of signs?
Positive and negative.
Negative and a positive. I'm going to put the negative on the left to make my life easier later, and a positive on the right. And so if it's a negative and a positive adding, they're really going to subtract. So we want them to be 5 apart. Okay? Zyron, do you think you know what they are? Do
What?
you think you know what they are?
No.
Yep. What's your question?
I know how to do the rest, but why is there a minus and a plus? And how are you supposed to know that?
Great question. So you know what's a minus and a plus? Because how do you get to a negative number by multiplying? Can you multiply 2 positives? No, I'll give you a positive. Can you multiply 2 negatives? No, I'll give you negative. So you need one of each. A negative times a positive will give us a negative. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when we add them, we know it's going to actually subtract because they're different signs. Okay? So let's think about factors of 24.
9 times
9 times 3, that's 27.
6. 8 times 4.
8 times 3. Hey, wait. Are 8 and 3 5 apart?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, so which one has to be negative? Which one has to be positive here?
8 has to be negative. It has to be a -8.
Okay, negative 8,
Or positive 8.
positive 8,
-3.
and then negative 3. Would negative 3 times 8 give us negative 24?
Yes.
Would negative 3 plus 8 give us 5?
Yes.
Yes. They multiply to the top, add to the bottom. Now, Olivia, put it away. What do we do?
You keep. No, you have to know.
12A. You have to keep 12 in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Split the 5. And then you keep the 2. The -2.
Very good. And what do we split the 5a into?
-3x plus.
Very good. Very good.
Or, I thought it was.
Now what?
Group them.
Group them. Very good. This becomes like a problem like before. And we say, okay, well, what's the GCF of that first parenthesis? 12a squared minus 3a.
3A.
3a. Now, if we take out a 3a of 12, what are we left with?
4.
4a. And what about negative 3a divided by 3a?
0. Oh, wait, it's just 1.
1, but a negative 1, right? Second parenthesis, positive 8a minus 2. What do they have in common? Not negative 2, but a
Positive.
positive 2. Why do we want it to be a positive 2?
Because the first one is a positive.
Because the first one's already positive. Very good. So what are we going to get in the parenthesis?
4A minus
4a minus 1. Hey, is that a good thing?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's the same in both parentheses, okay? So now what do I do with the 4a minus 1s?
Put them at the beginning.
Put them at the beginning. And then what do I do next?
3A
Plus 2. Am I done?
Yeah.
Woo! If I were to FOIL, would I get what I started with?
Yes.
Yeah, FOIL and combine, get what you started with. We turned this into multiplication. We gave it a glow up. We just made it look different. Alrighty. Questions on number 3.
No.
Was that third one a little bit easier than our first two?
Yes.
Good. Do you think our fourth one's going to be easier than our third one?
Yes.
Do you think our fifth one might be easier than our fourth one?
No,
Yes.
Okay.
just do it by myself.
Yeah, because we're going to be practicing more and more and more. All right, I want you guys to do the first step. So remember what the first step is. I want you to write down the first step.
No. ABC.
Go and write down what we're due for the first step. All right, who can tell me what my first step was? Okay, Maddie.
A equals 3y squared.
Okay, A equals just the 3 actually, but yeah. And B equals
4y, negative 4y.
just the negative 4, but yep, right idea. And C is
Negative 4.
negative 4.
Good job.
Anyone have any question on that first step?
No.
Toby, you got the second step?
Yeah.
What is that?
Write down the big X.
Write down the big X, okay? What do I do with that? Who can help me?
You write down A times C.
Yep,
Then you write down the B.
Yep.
At the bottom.
yep.
And then you do negative, and then add and subtract.
Be careful.
I mean,
Now we have to start filling out the top and the bottom, right? We actually do A times C and B. So what does A times C actually give us?
Negative 12.
Negative 12, because that's 3 times negative 4. What is B?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. So now, how do we know our signs? We look at the top first. Are they going to be different signs or the same signs?
Same.
different.
Different. Mason's right. Why are they different signs, Mason? Because it's a negative 12. How do you multiply to get a negative, guys? Do you use two positive, two negatives? Nope, a negative and a positive. And I'm going to put the negative on the left. It's going to make our life easier. And we don't have to change signs later. Now, we're going to have these add to negative 4. Well, if a negative and a positive are adding, what operation are they really going to do? Subtract. So they have to be 4 apart. So what are 2 factors of 12 that are 4 apart? 6 and 2. If you're having trouble remembering these, write these down, okay? So we can list our factors just like we did before. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Oh, 2 and 6, those are 4 apart. Zion, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Which one of those has to be negative, the 2 or the 6?
6.
6. Why?
It's the biggest.
It's the bigger one and it ends in a negative, okay? Our bigger number is always going to be the same sign as the B.
No. Wait.
So our bigger number is going to be the same sign as the B. So if the B is positive, like on number 3 here, the B was positive, it was 5. Our bigger number was positive 8. Here, on number 4, our B is negative 4, so our bigger number, negative 6, is negative. All right. Now what do we do? Split things up. So our first and our last stay the same. And what happens to the middle? It splits. 3y squared. And what do I write in the middle?
Minus 6y.
Yep. Not minus.
2y.
Plus 2y. And then minus 4 at the end. Now, if I were to add these 2 in the middle, do I get what I started with? Yes, that's a good thing. If we don't, then we're doing it wrong. Now what do I do? Yeah, we group them. First 2, last 2. What goes into the first parenthesis? 3y squared plus 6 or minus 6y?
3y.
Just a 3y. Very good. And what are we left with?
Y.
Y
Minus 3.
minus 2.
2. Oh,
3, 6, 2.
never mind.
Sassy. Second parenthesis, 2y minus 4. What goes into both of those? 2. A positive 2 at that. And so what are we left with? Y minus 2. Hey! What are we noticing?
We made it.
It's the same. We made it. Woo!
Yay!
What? So what do we do now?
3
Done.
minus 2
Yep.
parentheses
Yep.
3y minus 2.
Plus 2. Yep. And now we're done. We gave it a glow up.
Let's go!
Questions on that?
We have to do the one on the
Not right now. We won't.
Yay!
I'm going to do numbers 2, 4, think here. 8. And 16.
Oh,
That's it.
That's so much.
Now on 2, is 2 factoring or what are we doing on 2?
what we did last time.
What's the instructions say on 2? Just FOIL. We're multiplying it. So be careful. 2 is going the other direction, the direction we first learned. And those other 3, 4, 8, and 16 are doing the factoring like we just learned just now.